Welcome, everyone. This is a workshop from Fix a Fair at Home. Thank you for joining us. I'm Wing, one of the coordinators of the Fix a Fairs, which are City of Portland, Oregon community resource event. Before we get started, we are streaming live on Facebook. So if you are watching us live, you can place a comment in a question in the comments box, and we will make sure they get answered. And we are also recording the session, so we'll post links to that recording afterwards as well. With that, I want to welcome our guest, Angela from North Star Village. Thanks
Hello.
for being
First, I'd like everybody to know that villages are not brick and mortar. I've got a little presentation I'm going to share with you. What we are doing is we're bringing to life virtual communities. I first heard about virtual communities almost 20 years ago on 60 Minutes, and I thought it was an idea whose time has come. North Star Village is a virtual village. Wait a minute, get back there. We are a virtual village. Ours is orange up in the top. We go north, northeast, and a little bit of northwest into the Pearl District. These villages were created to get at least 10,000 people above the age of 50. Villages were created as a way older people could ease isolation, help each other with small tasks that are the kind of tasks that you'd ask a neighbor to do for you. And the first village, East Side Village, look in the middle of the screen for the brown box, that opened its virtual doors in 2016. Since then, we have developed villages up in Vancouver, and we have several villages in development. On the left of the screen, you'll see Rainy Day Village that encompasses the two towns of Nehalem and Manzanita. So right now we're staying put at 11 villages. We're discussing whether our all-volunteer board could support more villages. So we're very successful, and lots of people like what we're doing, and I'll tell you a bit more about what it is we do. Villages are not a place. We're a virtual neighborhood where friends, volunteers, and members interact and help each other. And what we do in each village is devised by the village people on their own. Each village takes on the tone of its peoples. There's one village that has a men's cooking club. Another village has a bicycling group that goes bicycling for miles. So it depends on what you want. You bring it to the village and you can make it happen. Here's a little video I'd like to share with you, showing some members and why they like villages.
I had a lot of experience with older people as they aged, and a lot of them lived in nursing homes or assisted living. And I visited them and I thought, I don't want this. And so when Hannah gave a talk on the village concept, I was just drawn to it right away. I thought, yes, I may not be able to avoid going to assisted living, but I can delay it. I can age with this group. Before I thought, you know, my daughter's the most important person in my life. I want to be near her. And now I thought, well, she really needs her own life. And I have a very nice family here with the villages.
There we go.
Well, I was very eager to volunteer because I want to be the center of the party. I led some garden tours. We're going to do some music. As we age, it's very scary to think that, you know, you're all alone. You know, your body's failing you, your family aren't near you. And village is, to me, is a family.
So that is one of our members. In another village, she's in a village that is mostly west of the river, and you saw them meeting in person, and you probably felt a bit stressed out about that because we aren't meeting in person anymore, but does not mean we're not meeting in distanced groups. Different groups, as I mentioned, have bicycling groups. They have get together and walk in the morning. My particular village has 3 book groups. We meet over Zoom. We discuss the books in question. We share recipes. We have a handcrafts group. So again, each village does things based on what the villagers' interest is. Now, villages got started by 5 women who were friends from high school. Each of the women married different men, and the group of them traveled through life, and they all ended up in Beacon Hill neighborhood of Massachusetts. And they were worried about being ripped off. So they created a nonprofit business with a business concierge that would shop for services for them, get a senior discount. And they originally came up with the idea of providing services with one call does it all. Over time, villages have changed, and there are some villages that are offshoots of hospitals. And in those villages, the hospital people will treat you after you're discharged from the hospital and return to your home. None of the villages in the Portland metropolitan area and Vancouver give healthcare. Most villages charge a fee, we'll cover that later, but some villages are totally free. So if you've seen one village, you've seen one village. They vary, they are worldwide. We confer in conferences virtually, used to meet in person. So the village movement is huge. People above the age of 50 are the largest growing demographic. We are networking around the world, making life better and more accessible for seniors. Here are some of the actual people who helped start North Star Village, and they are interesting. These are people with a lot to share, and I find myself meeting people who we have in my village, a retired rocket scientist who helped develop solid fuel boosters, and her daughter used to work in, well, the both of them used to work in Anchorage, teaching the natives and the locals, and they have such wonderful stories. So meeting these people, learning Irish history, learning from the leadership trainer, it's pretty amazing. So we make new friends. We have 2 kinds of members, full service members and social members. Full service membership is available to singles, couples, blended families, and we have, whoa, I shot forward. I shot forward way, there you go. This is our highest level of services, 3 services you can request a week. The most popular service is to get transportation. Maybe you want somebody to come and pick you up and take you to the doctor's office. Maybe you want somebody to go shopping for you. But services, if we have a volunteer to do it for you, it can happen. We also have online events, TED Talks, things like that. And we have a recommended vendor list where we have got the names of vendors that have been used by our members, such as so-and-so cleaned my roof. So could you give me, we put the name of so-and-so in that list. And then if somebody's looking for a roof cleaner, they know that not only has that person done a good job for a villager, but we've also done a background check on them. Also, you need to know that the volunteers who do the services for our members, they get extensive background checks and they are trained. And if they're a volunteer driver, they get additional training, their car is checked, and before they drive anybody, the car is sanitized. Social members also get services. They get a lower level of services, 1 service a month instead of 3 a week, but they have this wonderful feature to being a social member. It's called the Life Happens option. And that simply means that should you become injured, or there's another unforeseen incident where you can't go around, all of a sudden for a month you become a full member at no additional charge. Not everybody can afford our membership. We try and keep it affordable, but some people are on fixed income. So we have 2 ways of helping members with membership fees. We have direct financial assistance where we'll cut the cost of the membership. And we also have sponsorships where groups will, or friends will buy a membership for somebody. These are for full members. Social members aren't getting a lot of services, so they could, if they're the kind of people who deduct their things on their taxes, they can deduct portions of their membership. That would be told to you in the membership interview. Here's a list of what our current rates are. Notice these are annual fees. And to be a full member, it's roughly $45 a month. And that is a lot of wonderful services, up to 3 services a week at $45 a month. That's driving you. That's pretty impressive. And we have a variety of ways to make the payments. There will be a time for questions toward the end of this, by the way. Here's another video I'd like to share with you. Well, it's not a video, it's a photo. We are a volunteer group, and these are some of the volunteers assembled at one of our Zoom volunteer council meetings. We are run by a governing council. This governing council makes the policy and procedure decisions for our village, and then we've got bylaws, and we report what we have decided to our hub. Villages in the Portland area are unique in that we are a hub and spoke system. Let me go back and show you again. Villages, all these different villages are called spoke projects of a group, a nonprofit called Villages Northwest, which is a 501c. It does our accounting. It makes sure we have insurances for our officers and directors. So we are a group of nonprofits. Our village, North Star, is a spoke project of Villages Northwest. You might want to know if volunteers have to work specific shifts. And no, you volunteer when you want to volunteer. You can volunteer twice a year and be considered an active volunteer. To be a member, membership is 1 year minimum, but because of COVID-19, we have temporarily extended membership for 15 months because we're not giving you the number of services we used to. Here's another little video I'd like to share with you.
I think all of us have a need to contribute. And sometimes that can be the healthiest thing that somebody can do.
You know, I got a sense of comfort by knowing that people were caring for my parents, and I thought it was probably a good thing for me to give back. And that's what I'm doing.
I really enjoy showing up with 4 or 5 other volunteers and working on gardens.
I'm a volunteer driver, and I'm also a volunteer handy person.
I have some physical issues, but I am able to work on a development committee and help raise funds.
This is probably the best volunteer opportunity I've ever had because there's so many different ways I can volunteer.
If you are a volunteer who likes doing computer diagnostics and so forth, that's something we can offer to our members. But unless you were there and volunteering, we don't offer that service. So it's the volunteers who make the village.
And that's what we do. We are neighbors who are helping neighbors to stay in their homes as long as it's viable for them to do that.
So I think it kind of reinforces people's trust in humanity, that people can help them that much.
It's just a win-win, win-win.
And now that you have been introduced to villages, you get to ask me questions. And if you want to be a volunteer, I will send you emails with the volunteer forms if you want to be a member. I will collect your email and I'll send you information on what your next steps are to become a member. And I open the floor now for questions. Wing, are there any questions?
Hey, Angela. We've had a few watches on Facebook, but no questions so far. I think you did a pretty great job of explaining things. I had a few questions myself that you actually answered as we went along. We can hang out for a little bit if you want for Q&A, or we can wrap it up, and I'd be delighted to invite you back at another time. And of course, we will have links to all of your information when the recording goes up on our website as well.
All right. I would be glad to do this again. If I answered your questions, that's great. I'm curious to know what your questions were, though.
I had some questions about being a volunteer and expectations around that. And then I was curious about the costs, and sort of what level of services were available, the services by being a member of villages, and all that was answered.
You should know that each village sets their own fees. So the fees that you saw were for us and for our next door neighbor, Northeast Village, because we fully expect that people move, and if you move from Northeast to North Star, you've got the same membership. So we cooperate on helping members move from village to village as smoothly as possible.
Okay, that's nice. I like that. Yes, that makes good sense.
And we do volunteer appreciation parties to thank our volunteers. One of the volunteer things we need most, however, are people who will do things in the background, be our back office people, and work on the computer system that helps us coordinate things. And we love the volunteers who are willing to be on our committees, like the woman in the video who said she works on her village's development committee. So we value our volunteers, not only the ones who give services, but the ones who serve in the background. So with that being the case, let us button this one up.
That sounds great. And thanks to folks who joined us today. Like I said, we'll post the recording of this on our website and our YouTube channel pretty soon. And you can visit us online to receive our e-newsletter for more updates, and also check out our community resource directory, including the Villages Network. Angela, thank you again. I love this program, this effort of Villages. Thank you for coming to present today.
My pleasure. Bye, Wing.
Bye.